challenges. And in this particular challenges, we try to find out the different solutions to come out from the such challenges. And one of the thing that will help us to come out from such situation is the technologies. And technology will definitely help us in many scenarios, and they can provide us the tools by which we can come out from this difficult time. And one such tool which we are going to discuss in the series of these lectures is the deep learning. And you are familiar, I think it's a very one of the popular techniques and successful technique being used. And in the current scenario also, we can see a number of tools are being developed for this deep learning by using this deep learning technologies. So during this whole series of deep learning, I will just cover up the basics of the deep learning. And then one of the application that is the image classification and semantic segmentation, I will cover up using this deep learning technologies. And then followed that, I will just take the practical scenario using the TensorFlow for this TensorFlow library for this deep learning technologies. So hopefully, I hope it will be useful for you. So let's start with this deep learning technologies. So as I discussed, this deep learning technology is very popular, and people are excited about this deep learning technologies. And reason behind this deep learning technology is its success in different application areas, and its current situation also it is being used to find out how we can detect the coronavirus using the different imaging techniques or different things. And we are trying to find out the genome structures of this COVID-19. And so you will see a number of research papers are being published, yeah, using this deep learning technologies, and still the work is going on. And we are hoping that this technology will also be helpful for detecting different types of genomes and similarity features of this COVID-19. And that is why we can say this deep learning technology is heavily being used everywhere. So now the question is why people are excited about this deep learning technologies. The major reason behind this deep learning technology is its success. Its success in many different application domains. They are almost in industries, in other areas. We are heavily using this deep learning technologies, and we can say deep learning technology is eating the software. At present, the old softwares are being replaced by this deep learning technology. So why so? So this the reason behind is its applicability, successful applicability in many in many you can say application areas. And some of the application areas which we'll discuss is the image classification. And what is image classification? Basically, image classification is you have a set of images, and using these images you have to categorize these images into particular category based on the contents available in these images. So this deep learning technology is successfully being implemented for this image classification problem. And let us try to understand this image classification success of this deep learning in this particular field. So you will see here in this particular graph, there is ImageNet. ImageNet, we have in ImageNet we have a archive of publicly available images, and this ImageNet provides competition every year. And you will see till 2011, the error rate in 2011, the error rate for the image classification for a particular data set was 26%, approximately 26%. But in 2012, the first deep neural network is being proposed in this competition. And basically, deep learning is not a new technology; it is an old technologies of 1990s. But here in this competition, the first model which is proposed was in 2012 by and known as the AlexNet. And you can see there is a 10% decay is observed. The error rate is 16% approximately over here. So there is a decay of 10% error rate. And that's why definitely the researchers from all over the world Researchers from all over the world have to pay attention towards these techniques, and this is the impact and deep learning is the only model of the winner of this competition. So we can see here the success of this deep learning in image classification. Now we have the models. We have the models which are giving better accuracy than human being. So we can see in computer vision area, we have made tools and which are capable to perform better human vision, better vision as compared to humans. Besides this, there are other application areas also are there. Second one, we can say that is a machine translation. So I think you all use the Google Translator, and now we are easily able to convert from one language to another language. Initially, before 10 to 12 years, it is very difficult to translate from English to Hindi or English to Hindi to English. But nowadays, we can see we can easily and effectively can translate from one language to another language. And that is the beauty of this deep learning technology. Now, for example, if you have to go somewhere outside India and the language is not known to you, so then you can use those signboards. You have a camera, mobiles, and you can capture those images, and that will convert your images into your known language. And that is the usefulness of this machine translation. So now deep learning technology is also very effectively used for this application area. That is the machine translation. Other successful area is the speech recognition. Initially, when you buy any smartphone devices, then first you have to train it by your own voice. But now, at current scenario, you just buy the smartphone and you start giving the commands by your voice, and it start working according to your command. And that is only due to this deep learning. So now deep learning make us able that we can make the devices that are just like Alexa and other devices that works directly on your commands, on the voice commands, and beautifully they performs your operations. So this is the one of the successful application of this deep learning. Now, other technology that is heavily used this deep learning is the games and automated game playing. And now computers are able to train itself and to play the games. And now they are able to defeat the human experts in many games. So this is the different areas, and there are other many areas are available where this deep learning technology is being used. You can use in particular crack detection in industries and other automation which is being performed in robotics and other areas. We can use this deep learning technology. So this is the success of the deep learning technologies. And now there is two questions. One is why deep learning and why now? As I have already told you, this deep learning technology is not a new area of research. It is an old area, and but at that time it was not much successful. But now at present scenario, it is very successful, and we are able to learn the things. And the reason behind it, why deep learning? So why deep learning means initially what happens whenever we perform any classification task or some identification task, then we use a traditional machine learning systems. In traditional machine learning system, thing is we have a set of input data, trained data, and features plays a very important role for the classification or the accuracy of your system or precision of your system. So if these features are if you have instruct the computer with the best set of the features, then definitely the accuracy will be and precision will be better. But what happens, it is not always be possible that we can provide the best set of the features. May possible in sometimes the features may be irrelevant and the features may be redundant. So it is very tough which features we have to use for our system, which features we don't have to use for our systems, and many times some features we do not able to include. So this was drawback of handcrafted feature, and these type of features where we have human has to tell the machine which features we have to extract. Then these features are known as the handcrafted features. We call them handcrafted features. So, This is the drawback, major drawback of any traditional classification system. So to come up from out from this problem, so deep learning technology just remove this limitation, and it just extract the features automatically. That is the beauty of this deep learning, and that's why we are now able to use this deep learning in a great extent. So actually, what happens? This deep learning technologies automatically extract the features, but in layers. So generally, in for if we talk about the face classification problem, for so initial layers, it generates the edges and lines only. Then for higher layers, it generates the faces and so on. So these features, we are not telling the machine ki which you have to calculate these features. These are learnable features, and they automatically learn itself and they generate the feature map. And this is the beauty of deep learning. Now, second question is why now? Why now means basically when we use any deep learning technology, the first thing is we require a large data set to train it. So for to collect the training data set, it should be a large enough, and so it's at initial 1990s, it was a difficult process to generate this such type of large data set. But at current scenario, we have a very large data set. We have the text data set, we have the image data set, we have different types of speech data sets. So these data sets are available, publicly available, and we can use those data set and we can train those data set as well. So we can train our system by using those data sets. So that is the first reason. Now second thing is the GPU hardware advances. That's mean as the deep learning technologies is computationally a very you can say costly affair, and we require very high performance devices to come up from this such type of complexity. We have to train millions of trillions of parameters and during the training process, and that can only be handled by high performance devices. That's why we require high performance devices, GPU and TPUs, and those are available nowadays on a lower price. And if you are not able to purchase these devices, then different cloud services are available in the system, and that's why we have now the large data set, we have the high performance devices, and due to these two, now we are able to execute our improved techniques like deep learning techniques on large data set and on high performance devices. That's why we are now ready to use these deep learning technologies in different application domains. So these are the big players of deep learning. Facebook is using for automated face tagging, and Microsoft is using for academic support, and Google is using for machine translation. Twitter is using for sentiment analysis, and different companies are using this deep learning technologies for different applications areas to increase their productivity. And we can see the impact. We can directly we can this can be seen by all the users that the Facebook, previous Facebook, and nowadays Facebook has a great automation as compared to the previous Facebook techniques. So this is only due to the big players of these companies where the deep learning is being used. And many more startups are also based on this deep learning, and you can also start your own startup because companies are needed to you to convert their technologies into the deep learning, and they require the support, and definitely you can also give them the support, and you can also start your startup. So that is the success story about the deep learning technologies. Now, this is the all about the success. Why deep learning is so popular. So why people are excited about this deep learning. Now, first, before going too deep, the different architecture of the deep learning technology. First, I will just go through the fundamentals, how this deep learning actually works. So we just cover up the fundamentals of deep learning. So basically, this deep learning is we can say it is started in 1950s. It is started with the 1950s with the invention of this perceptron. So this perceptron is being invented he basically deep neural network is inspired from our human brain. So the neurons available in our human brain. So this person just presented a very simple mathematical model of a neuron available in our brain. So in neuron, what happens? We have a cell body, and there we get the input from the environment through these dendrites and pass through the axon and just converted this biological neuron into a mathematical model, very simple mathematical model. So here we also have a cell body, and it takes some input connected to some other neurons. So this is a very simple perceptron. Now let's try to understand what actually mathematics is being performed inside this cell body. So this perceptron, if we just see its expanded version, so we can see in this when we talk about the cell contains two operation basically, and one operation is the function. This cell is connected to the environment. What happens? Every input. This is x0 is input, x1 is input, x2 is input, xn input. Every input is connected to this neuron with some weight. So we can say every
Excuse
input is W1 is x. Yes, please.
हेलो सर वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही है बार बार
Yes.
सर वॉइस इज ब्रेकेबल
वॉइस ब्रेक हो रही है. ओके. So am I audible or not? Please confirm this. Or I
यस
just
यस सर
reconnect my system. Is it audible?
नो नो सर इट्स ओके यस सर
Okay. So should I continue?
यस सर
Okay, okay. What I am saying now, I have to what I have to do, and this input is connected to the cell body, and every input is associated with some weight. And there is one more thing which we have added as the bias. I will tell you why we are adding this bias over here. So now there are two functions are being performed in this neuron. One is the summation that find out the weighted sum, where that find out the weighted sum of each nonlinear activation function. So what we are doing, we just find out the weighted sum. Weighted sum means we just calculated the x0 into w0. We will calculate x0 into w0 plus x2. This is the weighted sum of the input values, and then we add a bias. Then we add a bias over here. So this whole function is the output of this summation. This is the output. This x input values by x, and these are the weights. We are calling these as the weights. So we
सर
can
वॉइस
represent it as a W, and this is a bias plus B. So we can say here this is the output of this summation function. We do this summation function, and then now we are going to apply. Yes, sir.
सर वॉइस बार बार ब्रेक हो रही है आप
हाँ,
ईयरफोन यूज कर
ईयरफोन
लेंगे
यूज कर रहा हूँ मैं हटा के बात कर लेता हूँ. लेट मी ट्राई. अब बताइएगा सर.
सर ईयरफोन रिकनेक्ट कर लीजिए सर। सर प्लीज reconnect your earphones please, because you are not audible.
Show you the two remaining graphs that were left in the last session.
Hello. Hello. अच्छा। ओके 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 सर। ओके सर। हेलो सर। नहीं सर, आपने ईयरफोन हटाए थे वापस लगा दिए थे क्या? सर एक
सर ये हाँ अब आ गया आ गया। अब देखता हूँ मैं ऑडिबल हूँ। एम आई ऑडिबल नाउ?
यस सर।
आई एम ऑडिबल।
यस सर।
ओके। My screen are visible to all.
सर। यस सर। नाउ स्क्रीन इज विजिबल।
Screen visible.
यस सर, विजिबल।
Let me straight till now. So we and then we apply this output of this activation function. So loop plus b, and then I have to get the output. So now I will apply the activation function g and use. Basically these are the non-linear activation function. And that are connected neuron or the output layer. So this is the simple architecture of the perceptron. Now there are different types of activation functions. We use sigmoid, we use 10H, we use ReLU. Basically, what happens? Deep neural network is already very high. So if I use a complex activation function, then it will increase the complexity. So for such cases, that's why in deep neural network generally we use ReLU. This is the most popular activation function that is being used in the deep neural network. Now, what this ReLU network does, it just negative. So this is the rectified linear unit ReLU activation function, and, and it is the deep neural network architecture to include the non-linearity. Now the question is why we add this activation function, non-linear activation function. So the reason behind is this: the most of the real world problems are non-linear and they cannot be solved by the linear function. So since in this function, when we calculate x w plus b, so this is a linear function, and for the real world problem, we cannot solve using these linear functions only. So that's why we require some non-linearity. So we include the non-linearity in the function by using the non-linear activation function. So this is the reason why we are using this non-linear activation function. Second is we have added bias. Now, what is the reason to add this bias? You will see here in this example, I am getting the 0.5 value at 0. But if I want that this 0.5 value should be received at this point 2, so then for shifting this activation function, for shifting this activation function, I have to add the bias. So this is the all think how it mathematically perform the operation with taking I am just taking an example. Now I just take a very simple example. I have this the input 2 3 minus 1 and 5. Every input is connected to some weight, and I have a bias value is 3.0. So now first I will perform the xw and plus b operation. So xw will be 2 into 0.1 plus 3 into 0.5 plus minus 1 into 2.5 plus 5 into 0.2 and plus this bias is 3.0. So I have just used it as an input. So I put here 1 and this is the bias, so it will work as a weight. So in the single formula xw, in single formula xw, I can represent all the things. So this is the output, and if I will calculate the output, then its value will be 3.2. The output of this summation function will be 3.2. Now I will apply the activation function. So now here I am using the sigmoid activation function. When I will apply this activation function, I will get some value, and that is a 0.96. So I am getting the output as 0.96. So this is the simple mathematical operation of the perceptron, and this is the basis of the all the deep neural network. In every deep neural network, we only perform this mathematical operation. Only the architecture is different. Only we can say the operation to perform this operation is little bit different, but mathematics behind the deep neural network is same for each neuron. So now the question is, we have learned how this deep neural network is mathematically perform the operation. Now how we build the neural network. So for the simplicity now, I have just combined these two functions of a cell body of a neuron into a one. This is the complete cell body. Now it is connected to the environmental input x0, x1, xn, and so on, and it generates some output. So what we do, what we did. So these inputs, we also consider them as a neuron, and they work on the identity function. That's mean if the input is x0, their output will be x0. Input is x1, their output will be x1. So these are the identity neurons. So we call this set of neurons which works as an input are known as the input layer neurons. So we can say this is the input layer. So we can say it is the input layer, and it contains a number of neurons equals to the number of input values with the identity function, and every input is connected to some weights which I have already discussed. And then I have supplied this input to the next level neuron. So here this neuron is being used to generate the output. That's why I can say it is an output layer neuron. This is the output layer neuron. So there is a single output layer neuron. It will take the weighted sum, performs the add the bias, and perform the non-activation function, and it will generate the output. It will generate the output. So this is known as the output layer neuron. Since when we have a binary classification problem, then there is only one neuron is sufficient, and by using only one neuron, we can classify the input into two classes. Now what happens when I have more than two classes? In that case, I need more neurons in the output layer, so now it can work for the multi-class classification. So that's why it is known as multi-output perceptron. So what we have did, we have only included more number of neurons in the output layer. Operation for each neuron is same. If I have to calculate the output of O0, so how I will calculate? X0 into corresponding weight plus x1 into corresponding weight plus x2 into corresponding weight plus xn into corresponding weight plus bias and then I will apply the activation function. It will generate the output. It will generate the output. Okay. Similarly for x1, x0 into corresponding weight. Now it is not compulsory that every input is connected to every neuron in the next layer. So this is not connected. So we will not calculate any value. Now x1 is connected to some weight. So we can take and x2 into corresponding weight, then x3, xn into corresponding weight plus bias of this neuron. Then we'll apply the activation function of this neuron. Then I will get the y1. So this is the simple mathematics behind the neuron of the multi-output perceptron. So now we have seen the multi-output perceptron. Now what happens when the system is actually these weights, in this case if we talk about this, so these weights we are calling them weight wi's, and these weights basically are known as the features because they help us, these features only help us to detect, to identify the objects available for the for particular application. So now what happens is many problems are very complex, and these problem, for these complex problems we need to extract more number of features. So here the weights works as a features. So if we talk about this simple input layer and output layer neuron only contains two layers, so these can be solved for the, can be used for the very simple problems. But when we talk about the complex problems, then we have to extract more number of features, and for those more number of features I have to add more neurons. I have to add, need more weights. So that's why I added some more neurons in between input layer and output layer. And these neurons are known as, these layer of neurons are known as hidden layer neurons. So these are the hidden layer neurons. So I have different number of hidden layer neurons. So I can use any number of hidden layer neurons, depends on the application to application, and it is a hyperparameter, and we have to decide the number of hidden layer neurons based on the accuracy which we want. As we increase the number of hidden layer neurons, the accuracy will increase, but definitely the complexity also increases. So we have to make the balance. So now what will happen? Every neuron performs the same operation. What? For the output of x0 will be calculated as weighted sum, x0 into corresponding weight plus x1 into corresponding weight plus xn into corresponding weight plus bias of s0 plus activation function. It will generate the output. Similarly, H1 will generate the output, H2 will generate the output, Hn will generate the output. Now, this output of hidden layer neurons will work as a input for the next layer neurons. Here, the next layer is the output layer. So these all are connected with weight also. These are also connected with weight. So now what I will do, I will calculate the output of O0 just like H0 into W0 plus H1 into W1 plus H2 into W2 plus Hn into Wn plus bias of O0. Then I will add the activation function. It will generate the output. Similarly, it will add weighted sum, then bias Bn0, then it will apply the activation function, then it will generate the output. So mathematically, every neuron performs the same operation. Only thing is we are just adding more neurons because of we want extract more features. So these weights represent the features. So we have to extract more features, then we have to add more neurons. So this is the multi-layer perceptor because we are using more layers than two input and output. We are also using more hidden layers. So these are the multi-layer perceptron. Now what happens? If generally what happens, as I have already told you, it is not compulsory that every neuron in the previous layer are connected to each neuron of next layer, and every neuron in this layer is not compulsory that connected to every neuron in the next layer. That's why we have represented this connection by this cross. We have represented this connection by this cross. So this is a multi-layer perceptron. Now what happens if I increase the number of layers? If I increase this number of layers, then it becomes a deep neural network. So this deep neural network, as I have already told you, it is not a new concept. It is an old concept. It is an extended version of neural network where we have added, we have our input layer, we have the output layer, and we have added number of hidden layers. We have added number of hidden layers. That's means now we are able to extract more number of features, millions of features we can extract, and that's why on the basis of those millions of features, we are able to select the minute and minute features that may be helpful. And important thing is We don't bother which type of features we are extracting. These features are automatically extracted by the system. So though no human intervention is required, and that is a feature of deep neural network, it automatically extracts the features. So millions of weights are being trained, and these features are generated, and on the basis of those features, we are able to classify the neural network. So that is the deep neural network architecture. So that's why we can say mathematics behind all the neurons are same. Every neuron just calculate the weighted sum, add the bias, apply the activation function, and then generate the output. So this is the deep neural network. So I think the architecture is clear to all of you. This is the deep neural architecture. So I think let me uh, let me stop over here. So time is up now. So I will continue this in the next lecture. Okay. So actually today there is some disturbance was there. So sir, now the session is open for problems. You can ask the problems till this point. Anybody, if you want to ask the questions, you can ask your questions, please. Yes, any query from any side, anyone? So
Participants
how I know the problems?
in the chat box, sir.
Okay, in the chat box. Oh, voice breaking now available. Okay, good morning. Yes. Okay. Now, any query, please ask in the chat box. I will be happy to answer those queries. Till this point, if you have any query, and then in the next session, I will cover up the example of this deep neural network, real life example, and then I will cover up the convolution neural network that is being used for image classification problem, and we will also do some hands-on on these image classification. We will generate a TensorFlow model for CNN, and if time permits, then we will also cover in these whole sessions. I will take number of sessions. So I will try to cover number of examples, numerical examples, and practical examples of this deep neural network. So I think, sir, there is no query is raised. So
Query.
should we stop today?
Hello.
हाँ
So
sir.
some queries are in chat box.
So I am waiting, but there is no query. There is only yes is written.
No, sir. It's a query from the Amit Khandelwal. How weights are assigned?
Yes. That's a very good question. Actually, due to as I have stopped my operation, this presentation, in the next few slides, I have to tell how we are going to assign the weights. Initially, we assign the weights randomly, and we start with the random initialization of the weights, and then we train our model. By a particular algorithm. I will explain that algorithm in my next lecture. So we train the algorithm, and that algorithm just updates these weights, because random weights can do anything. They can generate any output, but we require to reach to a optima. We require the higher precision. So first we calculate some loss. So we have the actual output. What should be the actual output of the trained data set? We have the output generated by the model after the initial random weights, and we calculate the loss, and that loss is being back propagated to update the weight. So this process is being repeated n number of times. I will explain betterly in the presentation, in the next class presentation, this whole process, how we are going to update the weights. Yes, any other query?
Sir, one more query from Shreyansh Kothari. What is
So
bias?
I am not able to see the queries. Is there any other process to see the queries?
No, sir. Only in chat box.
Okay. Initially, okay. Uh, sir, what was the query?
What is bias?
Okay, bias. I have explained you what happens uh, when we talk about the bias, when we apply some activation function. Now you just see here, this is the activation function, and you can see in this activation function, I have this activation function, sigmoid activation function, that generates, this is the x value, these are the input values. You can see these are the input values, and for this input values, it just generate a value in between 0 and 1, in between 0 and 1. Now what happens when input value is 0? It generates a value 0.5. but I want to add value 2 or 4, add a value 4, the value should be 0.5, not the value near to 1. So I have to shift this activation function. I have to shift this activation function like this. So for this shifting of this activation function, I added this bias. So this is the use of this bias to shift the particular activation function at a particular label. Yes, please. Any next query?
Sir, one more query from the participant Amit Jaju.
Yes.
That is, sigmoid is probability function or not?
Sigmoid is a non-linear activation function, basically. It is not generating any probability. It is an activation, basic active. It is a non-linear activation function, and it just generate a value in between 0 and 1. Non-linearity, it is generating value 0 and 1. Okay, and it is following some sigmoidal architecture. You can see here, this is a sigmoidal architecture. Okay, there are different types of function. 10s function is there, and the rectified linear unit is there. So this 10s function generates a value in between -1 and 1. So these are the different sinusoidals or different types of functions that are being used, and that include the non-linearity in the system. And but deep neural network generally use this rectified linear unit, and that is more simple as compared to other one. Yes, please, next.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so no other queries are there.
No, sir.
Okay, sir, then we will meet tomorrow
No.
in the session, and then I will continue my session with the learning of this deep neural network and then convolution neural network.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Okay, okay. Should I leave?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Friends, please be there for a few minutes because I am sending the feedback link here. Now you will see that your feedback link. This is your feedback link. Kindly fill the feedback form fast. After 5 minutes, uh, I will close my screen. So please be fast to fill the feedback form. हाँ, आज का इवनिंग सेशन नहीं है, सो यू आर फ्री नाउ. सो टुडे नो एनी सेशन एट 5:30 PM. नहीं है, आज का सेशन नहीं है शाम वाला. नेक्स्ट सेशन अपना आप कल टुमारो 9 AM पे ही होगा. उसका लिंक मैं भी आपके ग्रुप पे व्हाट्सअप कर दूंगा और मेल भी कर दूंगा.